Yeah, you're recording. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of It'll Be Alright in the 90s, the podcast where phone boxes still serve an important public service, sticky back plastic is a useful construction material, and Vauxhall Cavaliers roam the roads. I'm Alex Greenwood, and my co-host is Stu Joslin. Stu, how's it going?
Hello, mate. Good to see you again, and thanks for having me.
Cool. If you listen to our first episode, then you'll know that this is a podcast devoted to getting all misty-eyed over history's greatest 10-year stretch, the 1990s. Last time we talked about football kits, so go back and have a listen to that if you haven't already. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, and it's a piece of not only televisual history, but I think a momentous event in the history of high-speed police driving. So this is, of course, I don't need to say you'll have worked this out, but it's the infamous liver run episode of Police Camera Action. So Police Camera Action, Stu, what do you remember about this ITV masterpiece?
Well, I have to say I'm very much looking forward to this episode, mate. This is very much within my wheelhouse. Police Camera Action was probably my favourite television show of the 90s when I was growing up. That alongside The Bill, I was totally obsessed with wanting to be a traffic cop. I knew every car on the road, everything like that. I was a big car nerd. And when this program came along, it just brought those two interests together and put it into a sort of perfect half an hour for me. But as you say, the liver run is probably the most well-known episode of Police Camera Action for very good reasons.
Yeah. Which
we're going to go into in forensic detail over the next half an hour or so.
Yeah. See, talking about forensic detail, you're already sort of getting into the right mindset. I can imagine you as a child sitting in the back seat of your parents' car, just sort of using the phonetic alphabet to just point out all the number plates, anyone acting a little bit suspicious, anyone maybe driving a little bit erratically.
It's funny you should mention registration plates because I still have a thing for them now, in that I know all of my old personal registration plates. I know all of my family's registration plates. Most of my friends, if I see a car coming towards me, I can just recognise it and I'll know it's one of them. Yeah. It's a very, very strange thing indeed, but it's been with me all my life really, and I can't see it stopping anytime soon.
Have you found much use for it so far? Has it served you well, or is it mainly just the 3-second head start you get on your friends driving around the corner?
Yeah. Unfortunately not. I did once try to start. I saw a thing. I don't know if you know the comedian Richard Herring. I'm sure you're familiar with his work.
Yeah.
He did a show called The 12 Tasks of Hercules Terrace years ago when he was doing 12 sort of modern Hercules tasks. And one of them was called consecutive number plate spotting. And this is with the old system. And he had to spot registration plates with 1 to 999 in that order. So if he saw like a 578 go past, he couldn't say, "Oh, I've seen that," and note it off. It had to be after 577 and before 579. I tried to do that once, but it was taking far too long and everything. So yeah, I had to abandon that. But yeah, it's one of those things. Also, just a little disclaimer before we get too far into it. We do realise that the actual liver run took place in 1987. Okay, mm-hmm. We do realise that. Yeah. But Police Camera Action is very much a 1990s program, so we'll be very grateful if you give us a little bit of leeway on that. Thank you very much. Please don't write in.
Yeah, and actually, I think this episode was shown in the 90s. I did a little bit of research before this, and I looked it up, and I noticed, as you said, that it was in the 80s that the event took place, but the episode I think was shown in the 90s.
96, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just a tiny bit of background for anyone who doesn't know or doesn't remember the program. It ran on ITV from 1994 to 2010. I mean, what would you describe? It's not really a documentary, is it? It's a little bit before the era of fly on the wall documentaries. It was a compilation of dashcam footage from police cars during pursuits and
and there's often a episode title which gives the clips a collection name, if you like. So I've been going through quite a lot of them on YouTube recently, and there's one called Rust Buckets, where obviously you've got all the cars with bald tires and holes in the floor and stuff like that. And there's some it doesn't come across so much in this episode, but Alastair Stewart, who's the presenter, there's a lot of accidental partridge type stuff going on here.
Oh yeah.
There's an episode, I can't remember the title, but there's an episode which they filmed at Chessington World of Adventures for some reason. And there's a great scene with some sort of sea creature. I think it might be a dolphin or a seal or something like that. And it's absolutely fantastic. So look out for that. But yeah, as we said, this is probably the most famous episode of the run. You said it did run till 2010, but I would say Police Camera Action very, very much a 90s program. So yeah, let's get stuck in. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to suggest to you as listeners that you watch the video along with us. We're going to sort of provide a form of 90s commentary over the footage. So if you watch along, you'll see what we're talking about. Otherwise, it might not make quite so much sense. But we'll send you a link. We'll have a link in the description below. And we'll maybe give you a countdown or something to press play at exactly the same time as us, just so you're not 3 seconds ahead of us or something.
Excellent. Just to clarify as well before we start, there are two versions of this on YouTube. There's the Police Camera Action version and there's the Police Stop version, which is slightly longer.
Okay.
So please, when you're watching along, please make sure you've got the Police Camera Action version, which is 22.5 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, as we said, we'll put the link down below for
absolutely,
you. So you definitely get the right one.
Why did I even say that when you just said put the link out?
Because you care, Jocelyn. That's one of the things about this podcast. That's one of our bylines is we care. We care. Okay, so are you ready, Jocelyn?
Yep, you count me down and I'll press play.
Coming up, 3, 2, 1, and play.
And we're off.
Straight away, the theme tune is sending shivers down my spine.
Absolutely, yeah. It's this was the one and only theme tune for the whole of the run, and going past there are some classic clips of the series from time gone by. It always ends with the famous M25 van crash commentary at the end there, which I hope we'll go over in a future episode maybe, because that's another one of my all-time favourite Police Camera Action moments. Here he is, the main man.
Alastair Stewart, the presenter, and I think he provided the voiceover for I think almost all the series up to. There was a break in him presenting it. Now, Stu, do you know why he was forced to take some time off this program?
I think I might. Was he convicted of drink driving?
He was convicted for a second time of drink driving and crashing into a lamppost.
He's crashed.
Exactly.
Oh dear.
Which is, I mean, again, it's Partridge. It's classic Partridge.
Indeed. Okay, so a little bit of background then when we get started. So as we say, it's the 8th of May 1987. And a human liver is being rejected by the patient who's had it, who's received it as a transplant in Cromwell Hospital in London. So another donor liver has been found in Hull. It's been flown into Stansted Airport, and then the boys in blue, who you can see here with the rear of their lovely SD1, are awaiting the liver to turn up on the motorway. And then they've got 36 minutes to get it 27 miles from Stansted Airport to Cromwell Hospital. And that's where we are at the moment. I hope I've summarised that okay for you, Greenie?
I think that sounds right. This is actually one of my favourite bits here when this lorry arrives in shot, which I initially thought that the liver was in that. I thought that's how they transported human organs, was in these enormous lorries, but actually it was just masking this absolutely beautiful Ford Granada lemon curd sandwich police car, which I believe is from the Essex Force.
We should, of course, also mention that the liver is not in a milk tanker, but it's actually in a picnic box that you might take down to the lake on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And there's an officer in the back of the car with his hand over the box, keeping the lid on the liver. And there's the lead car, which we can see pulling away here, and then we stay with the backup car, the camera car, which is being driven by PC Crossland, I believe. I've got his name down here, and I've got written down here, I could listen to his voice forever. So, there we go. I might have had a couple of drinks by the time I started making these notes. I don't know.
We should have got him on the show. We should have asked him to come on and do an interview. He could have been our first guest.
That would have been lovely. That would have been lovely. Maybe one day in the future we can do when this podcast is a massive hit. We can go, do retreads of classic episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're off, and the program handily puts up a map on the bottom of the screen at intervals to show you how far along they are, and already they're up to about 100 miles an hour.
It's impressive for what are pretty old cars. But then the Rover ST1 famously had the Rover V8 in it, the big grumbling box. But it looks quite old. I mean, this is obviously old footage.
Yeah.
But even then, it looks quite old. The car itself, but.
Well, there are more. Obviously, you'll have a sharper eye for this than I do. But there's obviously a lot of classics coming up, and I will point out a couple I spotted as we go on.
Yeah. And straight away, as happens, up and down the country, every 5 minutes, an articulated lorry is pulled out into the middle lane and is going about 50 miles an hour and holding up the whole operation. And if you watch here, just a cursory flick of the hand from the police officer in the passenger seat, just to say to that lorry driver, you plonker. Basically.
I was about to say, I've got noted here, co-driver gives it some, as the lorry driver finally pulls over. It's also mentioned at this point that both of the co-drivers, if you like, of the cars are navigating by using A to Zs. Which, I mean, it's absolutely unthinkable to me anyway, that such a vital journey through the one of the most densely populated cities in the world, and they've got a tiny little exercise book size map.
I can imagine it. Yeah, flicking through the index. Just a succession of brilliant Mark III escorts just being overtaken in the middle lane there.
Fantastic.
Something I'm familiar with as it was one of my first family cars, 3-door.
My dad had a Mark II. I was a bit too young, really T-reg on the suffix plate.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're about 10 minutes in now, and they're still doing okay at the moment, but they're about to start coming into the sort of inner city traffic now.
Yeah.
They've had a good run on the motorway, but now we're getting into more serious, and it is a Friday afternoon as well, so it's obviously very, very busy indeed.
Yeah, and probably an era when having a few afternoon drinks, after an early finish at work was probably not enough to stop you getting in your car and heading home.
Sadly, yes. But there was a bit at the start when the driver of the lead car was saying, we had to sort of dump our refreshment break with a little wink.
Yeah.
So maybe they were on the light ale as well.
Yeah, that's actually my favourite part of the. Sorry, I've just noticed a gold mini metro to the right there.
Lovely stuff. And to the left for me, before they disappear, you've got the brace of Mother's Pride bread vans.
Yeah.
Which I noted down at the time there. Which again look very similar to the red and white van which was involved in the M25 chase.
Maybe that's like a subtle nod to another episode.
Maybe.
There's all sorts of stuff hidden in these episodes, I'm sure.
It's fantastic. I just like looking at them as well as a time capsule of the time as well. Like London in 1987. Where else could you get this sort of thing, just as a journey through the streets? So it's interesting as a document of social, the way it was at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to what you said at the start, there was a little talking head window popped up with one of the police officers involved who said that him and the other officers were in the middle of having a refreshment break, and then he turns to the camera and sort of nods and smirks, which, I mean, it must mean they were drinking alcohol, but what time was it? It's like
it's just after midday.
Yeah. I mean, it's a completely different time where the police are just sort of laughing about the fact that they're all a little bit on the piss in the middle of the day before going on a high-speed police chase or pursuit or high-speed drive. It's It's mad.
So 18 minutes remaining now, and I think things are beginning to get a little bit twitchy. I think they're beginning to think that they might not do it.
Yeah.
They're beginning to get help from other officers as well, so that there are officers holding traffic at junctions and things like that. And we'll see some motorbike outriders come along as well in the latter stages. And I think one of them says at some point that there was over 50 officers were involved in this run as a whole, which again is amazing. And it's the end of part one. If only the adverts were there, we could have had a chat about those as well.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been really nice.
I've been getting slightly distracted recently by watching 90s adverts that have just come up in my suggested videos on YouTube. So I have actually become quite familiar with some of the classics.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a few episodes in that. There's definitely.
Yeah, good point.
Here he is, the dreamy PC Crossland.
he just, he uses gravitas, doesn't he?
He does.
You can just tell all the lads down the station respect him.
I wonder if he would be interested in talking to two idiots from Wiltshire about.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I don't imagine he's invited on that many podcasts. So.
No. We'll have to see. Maybe he's got an agent. We'll find out.
Yeah. It'll probably be another case of us thinking we're the first to do something. It turns out he's already spoken to 50 other 90s nostalgia podcasts.
Yeah. Probably done a series on it. 10-part deep dive.
Yeah.
So I think there's a moment coming up with the German motorist.
Yes.
Do you know the moment to which I refer?
I do, yeah.
Yes. And we'll let that speak for itself when we come to it. But that's one of the more jaw-dropping moments of the whole enterprise, really.
Yeah.
So we're getting into heavy traffic
going
now.
The wrong way. Yeah, heavy traffic and going. I think they're still going the wrong way, on the wrong side of the road, on the wrong side of a dual carriageway with a barrier in the middle, which is pretty full on.
Absolutely.
But then again, we know that they've had a couple of pints a mile, so they're probably pretty devil-may-care at this point.
Anything goes.
I imagine that's why there were 50 officers involved, because they all just thought, Friday afternoon, something's up.
So here he comes. Here comes our German friend. And what happens here is that he does, according to the commentary, he does hear the sirens, or the woofers and yelpers, wailers and yelpers.
Oh yeah.
As how they refer to the two different siren types. But there's a German motorist who pulls over to the right instead of the left, and completely blocks the SD1 from. And for a brief moment, the camera car is actually in front. And he just I think forgot where he was and obeyed the rules for his own country and pulled over to the right instead of the left. But there you go.
It's It's an understandable mistake to make, I think.
Yeah.
We'll
luckily, it doesn't hold them up for too long, and the lead car is now back in front, and we're 14 minutes to go.
The brief episode would have taken on a whole different sort of mood had this all. Actually, I don't want to give away the ending. We don't know if it's going to work or not.
That's very true.
I won't say any more. It's getting very built up now, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. And I think this is around this point where they receive confirmation from the hospital that they've started the operation to remove the liver that the patient is rejecting, on the assumption that they will get there on time. So the whole thing is now just taken on a whole new level of importance, because they've got no other choice but to start the operation and just hope they arrive on time. So, I mean, I think I get under pressure at work sometimes, but it's nothing really, is it, compared to this sort of thing?
No.
But then, if I was drinking 2 pints a mile before I went to work, then maybe it would. Maybe I feel a bit better.
You just don't feel it, do you? You don't feel the pressure when you've had half a bass.
Maybe a chip shop lunch as well.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Right at the start as well, I also liked how they said that I think the plane had been delayed by fog in Hull. And I just thought, of course it did, because it's Hull. Like, I can just imagine it's always every plane that ever takes off from Hull is probably delayed by fog.
Bright
Especially
sunshine
in
in
the
London, and
Yeah,
fog that's thick enough to stop a plane from landing just a
true,
couple
yeah.
of hundred miles away. Fantastic. So, yeah, they're hitting sort of 60 miles an hour through the city at this moment in time. And I think at one point one of the officers says, if somebody had stepped out and not heard me, I don't know what I could have done to stop.
Yeah.
So it is a miracle that in this whole thing as well that nobody was there were no absent-minded pedestrians who just took a step out at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, these are high speeds, 60 miles an hour on a big heavy car with old drum brakes. I mean, it's not going to stop in.
Doesn't he say at one point about the brakes that they can smell them? They can smell the brakes because they've been caning them for so long, and they don't know how much longer the car's actually going to survive. At one point.
Yeah, I just think it's amazing that these British Leyland era rovers have got this far. I think don't they refer to like having cars on standby or something like that?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I think the intention might have been for the camera car to take over if anything happened.
Oh, okay.
We're on the wrong side of the embankment. I should just say now again we're back onto the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. So some good gesticulation from the driver of the ST1 just there.
Fantastic stuff. So many transit vans. Around as well as everywhere you look. There's a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 transit.
Yeah. It was sort of an era where there were no other alternatives really.
No.
Maybe the odd Bedford van here and there, but I think So go on.
So I was just saying we're getting very, very thick now with traffic, and it's getting more difficult for them to sort of maintain any speed. 11 minutes to go on the clock, so things are looking pretty critical now.
Just got another glimpse of a motorcycle police officer who stopped some of the traffic there, and there's also one in front, I think, leading the way.
Yes, I think a bit later on. I think we actually see the lead motorcyclist, his bike actually packs up completely, and then they say that and then he just retired from biking a couple of days after that because he was just so exhausted he just couldn't face it anymore.
Wow, I mean that's how momentous the liver run was. It was ending careers, making careers and breaking careers.
So we're through. Was that Marble Arch? I'm
not sure.
My London landmarks aren't great, but I think it was Marble Arch.
Yeah. What's this road that goes the red road in London that sort of goes down to Buckingham Palace? What's that called? I think that's what it looks like they're on. But
yeah, it might just be Buckingham Palace Road. I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
But there is another landmark question I have in a second. I think it's at the end of this one. So here goes you can see the motorcyclist on the left there with the plumes of smoke.
Oh yeah.
Now he refers to this landmark as the wedding cake. Now I've never even heard of the wedding cake before now, and
no, me neither. It was in front of Buckingham Palace, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I have to put in a bit more research and find out what the wedding cake actually is, because that's as a respectable pub quizzer, I should really know that, but I've never heard of it before.
Maybe it's just a personal Alastair Stewart lingo. It's his own word for it. He doesn't know what it's called, so he just said that.
Not that he can drive around there anymore, of course. So.
No.
He might be able to now. I don't know, but
Yeah.
And there's a very entertaining off-road bit now where they just sort of do whatever they want and drive on pavements and over a couple of fields, not fields, but grass verges and things.
It's become a bit Die Hard trilogy. The third one when you're driving the car.
I think that's a very underrated film, actually.
I think it is as well. Everyone talks about obviously the first one, and the second one I think is also quite forgotten. I think the second one is also forgotten as another Christmas film because everyone, it's a big debate: is Die Hard a Christmas film? The second one's a Christmas film.
There's another episode for us.
Yeah, they're just coming to us thick and fast. But potential potential episodes.
Better write that down. So anyway, back to the liver run. So we're 8 minutes on the clock now, and they appear to have got through the worst of the traffic, it would appear. We've got a long straight road ahead of us now, and maybe, just maybe, they're going to make it and save the day.
Yeah. Where are they? This is surprisingly empty. This.
Yes, indeed. Although I think the officers, again, you just saw another car there stopping traffic at a red light. Yeah. So, and you can see it all stacked up there as well. So maybe they've got a bit ahead of them at this point, and we're organising things.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely getting near to the Cromwell Hospital, aren't we?
Yeah. I think they're actually turning in now. Now, there's an interesting moment here when I think they do it's another right or left. It's a turn of some sort into just a little unassuming side street, which turns out to be where the hospital is.
Yeah.
But there's traffic waiting to turn left away from that road. And, of course, there's a car blocking the entrance to the hospital. Now, I'm going to need your expert eye, because I think I know what it is, and it's a very rare beast.
Oh, okay.
Probably even a rare beast for 1987. And it is only on screen for a very short amount of time.
Okay, I've gone full screen.
Yeah, so we'll see if we can find it. But I think I've started talking about it too early, because...
I'll sit back down.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I haven't seen many Route Master buses. I was expecting to see more of them.
No, yeah, the old red bus.
It's lots of original taxi cabs. Well, not original taxi cabs, but
of their time.
Yeah. And a bit more gesticulation from the driver there. It's quite, as you can see, there's an air of sort of just calm about the way he's waving his arm. He's driving at 60 miles an hour down busy London streets with one hand on the steering wheel, just sort of waving at the police who've helped stop the traffic. And,
fantastic stuff. Couple of, I think there was a little Bedford Rascal there, just parked up on the right.
I spotted that.
Yeah, or a Suzuki Carry. I think they were also exactly the same vehicle, but marketed under two different names for some reason.
Good knowledge.
So we've come to a stop again, but I think I've got an idea that they might just make it.
They've got 6 minutes apparently.
6 minutes on the clock. Like a hand gesture from the taxi driver saying, "Yes, come on through."
Nice Granada there, just been driven past, I think.
Fantastic, another transit.
Yeah.
British Telecom van. Right, here we go. So this is it. So now on the right here, when they're turning in, I think it's a mini moke, which is there's a Sierra there, but I think it's a mini moke which is blocking the entrance. Can you just see it there?
Oh.
Just on the left, on the right.
Yeah.
And then it pulls out of the way.
Is that like a little van? I could barely see it.
Possibly, but it looked to be open top.
Okay.
So that's why I thought it was a mini moke. And they have arrived. With 5 minutes to spare, they wang the picnic box out of the back of the SD1.
Oh, imagine if the lid had flown open and it had fallen out. Can you imagine?
Unbelievable. Just on the pavement.
Yeah. 5-second rule, dust it off.
But they've made it, and that's I think that they say that's an average speed of 60 miles an hour for the entire run to make it at that time. And then we have a lovely happy ending with Alastair Stewart showing the lady whose liver it was and whose liver it is, showing her the footage for the first time.
Yeah, and she is. I mean, she says she's excited. She doesn't look that excited. I think maybe she's just being polite. It feels a bit like she's being made to feel like she should be more grateful. Alastair Stewart is really sort of pushing her for gratitude.
I'll send PC Crossland a nice bottle of wine or something. Oh no, he'd prefer a crate of mild, obviously, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Don't send any to Alastair Stewart though, because you know what he's like.
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's it. That's I mean, it's an exhilarating 22.5 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. And I've really enjoyed going back to it and watching it again, and I've obviously watched it a couple of times to make notes. But as I said, just for the sort of time machine aspect of it, and going back and seeing what cars were on the road then, and what. That's always the thing that interests me about programs like when I see an episode of Minder on ITV4 or The Professionals or The s1e2, which are all shows that I really love anyway. But it's always the cars that I pay attention to. Yeah, and obviously the happy ending with the lady getting the liver and making a full recovery.
Yeah, I do wonder whether they would have shown that if it hadn't been successful. Presumably not. Maybe there were lots of episodes that didn't make it to air because they didn't work because the police officer in charge wanged it into a tree or something on the way. I don't know. But
maybe.
Yeah, it was a happy ending.
Absolutely, and it's well worth, if you're into this sort of thing as much as we are. There are a lot of previous police camera action episodes. I say they're all previous, but there are a lot of episodes on YouTube that you can go and look at your leisure, and most of them are the more of the sort of clip show style. This driver in Inverness didn't see this patch of black ice and banged it off into a ditch. Or have you got any? I mean, I've said that the M25 chase is one of my favourites. Have you got any favourite police dash cam footage from the 90s that you always think of?
I don't remember any other specific episodes of police camera action. I do remember many a late. Well, it felt late at the time. I'm not sure how late it actually was. Well, when you're younger, obviously late is like 8:30. But watching World's Wildest Police Chases, and I'm not sure if this was 90s, if it was maybe a touch after that. But watching episodes of that with my dad. Who was the police officer? Was it Sheriff John Burrell or something like that?
Sheriff John Burnell. Yes,
Burnell,
indeed.
that's it.
The Cupernol man. Yes.
Yeah. Sort of the very American equivalent of police camera action, which is very bombastic and a lot more sort of those barrel rolls.
Well, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. It's all on there. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed this, and I would hope in the future we would do a few more episodes on this sort of thing. Maybe we could do a just for the American flavour. We could do a World's Wildest police chase commentary as well. Yeah. That'd be really great.
That'd be great. Yeah, as you say, there's a very deep well of 90s nostalgic TV on YouTube. So we've got a lot to work with. We don't know what we're going to do next, do we? So I can't say that.
No, we haven't spoken about that yet, which is poor form as podcast hosts, I suppose. Yeah. But on the other hand, it will keep the audience guessing, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe once we've decided it, we can put it in the description underneath the link to the video, and then they'll find out that way. So if you're listening to this now and you want to know what's happening next time, have a look in the episode description, and you should find out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, I think I just said, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did and you'd like to hear from us more, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll be back next time with something yet to be decided.
Okay, great. Thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks, Stu, for joining me for this wild ride through central London behind an SD1 Rover.
Thank you, mate. Always a pleasure. And keep it 90s.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see you next time.
Till next time, bye for now.
Bye. If any of you want to get in touch with us, some comments, some feedback, some abuse, or if you have any suggestions for future episodes, then we have an email address, which is allright90s@gmail.com. So that's allright90s, one word, @gmail.com. And we're also on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @allright90s, all one word.
Look forward to hearing from you. Fire up those dial-up modems.